My name's Giuliame, and I'm currently studying in the Human Academy Osaka Japanese Language School. I'm from the October 2023 batch. So I chose Japan because, well, I've been to Japan before and I really fell in love with the country and the culture when I went there the first time. And ever since then, I've always wanted to try live here in Japan. And it wasn't until recently that I gained the opportunity to do so. So, yeah. Regarding concerns about going to Japan, I guess the most obvious concern is, of course, the language barrier. Being able to communicate with people who primarily don't speak much English, and obviously Tagalog, especially if you don't really have anyone there to help you. But fortunately, like Jellyfish does provide the assistance on that end. So I was very grateful for that. Besides that, of course, I think another concern is the large amount of paperwork that needs to be done, both before and after you get to Japan. So I did a fair bit of research about Japan before going here. And everyone was saying how much of a pain it is to handle the paperwork because, I mean, and this kind of connects to the previous issue with regards to the language barrier. So not only do you have to worry about communicating with the people, but you also need to find a way to understand like the content of all these documents and stuff. Yeah, that is primarily it. After about a year and a half of being here, I think I'm roughly N3 level, though I admit I could have done a bit more to study the language beforehand, or at least improve my level. But I guess in terms of some tangible sign of accomplishment, I've been able to make a number of Japanese friends from my workplace. Like yesterday, I literally just had like my fourth nomikai with my co-workers. That's been pretty fun. It's been a good experience being able to gradually see myself develop and learn the language by being able to converse with them. It was pretty good. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, I guess we were also able to move to a different apartment, which is a much bigger quality of life improvement compared to the first one. Not that the first place was bad or anything, but the current apartment we're in now is a lot better. And I think it's possible. It was made possible because of the improved language ability. For the long term, I do want to live here in Japan. I mean, maybe indefinitely. Yeah. I want to live in Japan maybe for the rest of my life, if possible. And in order to do that, I need a proper visa. I need to change my visa from a student visa to either like a working visa or I don't know, maybe a spouse visa. Just kidding. But the goal is to be able to live here permanently, obviously to sustain myself, earn enough money to live a decent life. That's generally it, yeah. Well, that ties into the city as well, or like this specific place that I chose to live in. Like Osaka was my first choice, and I chose Osaka because it's almost, if not just as cosmopolitan as Tokyo. So you get all the amenities, the conveniences of living in like a big city, but it's also not as expensive, not as big, and less congested, if that makes any sense. So I felt like it had more of the benefits, or at least almost as much, if not as much benefits as living in Tokyo, with less of the downsides, especially the higher costs of living there. I chose Human Academy Osaka specifically, well, because for Osaka, I think or at least I only had two options to choose from at the time. So it was either Human Academy and I think it was like a YMCA. As fun as that might have been, I didn't join the program on my own. So like I joined with my partner, and well, I think the YMCA only accepts guys. So since me and my partner were applying at the same time, we wanted to be able to study at the same school. So we went with Human Academy. since it was really the only other option, but also it's a kind of a cool name. And I think we looked into it. The campus of Human Academy it looked pretty cool. And they also help you find like part-time work, and they help you adjust to living in Japan, because like they're used to working with foreigners. And so it seemed like the best option considering the options provided. So with Human Academy, and I guess this is probably the same with any school you go to, or even any endeavor that you choose to take on in life, but what you get is somewhat proportional to the effort that you put into it. I noticed there are a lot of students there, not necessarily like from the Philippines or anything, but like just students in general that don't seem to put as much effort, and so they don't improve as much in terms of like speaking ability. But if you do, you'll see yourself improve, or at least you'll experience yourself improving over time, and that's always fun. Compared to my initial expectations, Human Academy wasn't as intensive as I thought it was originally going to be. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. They do give you a lot of freedom to do your own thing, but they sort of have an expectation. Maybe it's a cultural expectation, or basically they were expecting you to do your own work, to study outside of class. So you were basically working full time as a student there. The school really emphasizes students taking the initiative to improve and study Japanese on their own outside of like classes, and to make an effort to like find a part-time job or do extracurricular activities that will improve like your own skill set. Moving to Japan wasn't too shocking for me, at least in terms of the usual adapting to your environment. Of course, there's the language, which is different, but it's always going to be a different thing. Even if you move to like an English-speaking country, like the way they speak is still different from how you speak, right? Generally, though, well, for the first few weeks, actually, you're a bit too preoccupied with getting everything done. Like, because even after moving to Japan, right, you still have to sort out some documents. You have to go to the city hall, and you have to get your health insurance, and you get your My Number card, and all these other things that you need to sort out. You need to find like a good place to buy groceries. You need to find a place to buy furniture, or everything else, basically getting your bearings, finding the best commute path, that sort of thing. After that, yeah, like I said, you end up more as a tourist, or at least you have the tourist mindset, at least for the first few months. And then after that, that's when it starts to really sink in. Like your situation is different. And so you start to feel the issues or any like troubles or difficulties with like the change in culture a bit more during that period. But it does get better. Like you adapt to it. Overall, I love living in Japan. Like it's exactly what I wanted to do. Now it's basically my goal, or at least part of the goal, right? Since the goal is to live here basically indefinitely. What do I like about living in Japan? Well, I like Japanese culture. I like how everyone is polite, and everyone is always concerned about not inconveniencing others. And I think honestly, that's the thing I love most about Japanese culture. And it's a big reason why I wanted to move here specifically. What I dislike, definitely the paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork. Even like a year and a half in, there's still a lot of things that you need to sort out. Jellyfish was recommended to me by my partner, and so we went with Jellyfish. For me, that it was as simple as that. Since this is my only experience, I'd say maybe an 8 or 9, since Jellyfish got us here, and now I'm living a pretty good life in Japan, I think. I hope you guys managed to accomplish what you were hoping to achieve here in Japan. I hope your experience has been as good as mine. I hope you've learned to adapt and thrive within the Japanese culture, and maybe we'll see each other somewhere in Japan someday. So, if you're just about to embark on your journey to Japan, I highly recommend doing a bit of Japanese study beforehand. Like, try to get as good as you can at Japanese before you move to Japan, because it is going to go a long way in making your adjustment to living in Japan a lot better. I also recommend that you put some effort to learning more about the Japanese cultural mindset, not just like culture and stuff, not just like anime stuff or that's it, but like their actual mindset, how they think, how they're more of a collectivist society, and how they think. It would be good to remember that in Japanese culture, they always try to, or they always prioritize not being a bother to others, to not inconveniencing others. And honestly, there's so many times where I've seen foreigners, like Filipinos included, just being a nuisance out in public, and it's kind of embarrassing. So please don't be like that. Try to be more aware of yourself, and also good luck with the gathering all the documents. It can be a challenge, but if you take it step by step, work on one thing at a time, you'll get there eventually. So good luck on your journey.